Welcome back to the Nora Show, everyone. I've got my jacket, but I don't have anything to wear underneath it. And even if I did have something to wear underneath it, I don't have the underclothing for it. So the first thing I'm doing is sewing a slip. I've had this material for an incredibly long period of time, but it's Remnants. It is in all sorts of awful pieces, and I'm not sure if I'm going to actually be able to sew the slip out of this. We're going to see. I'm really hoping, because it's a really pretty raw brown copperish silk, and I've got some really nice lace to go with it because I ended up with a lace haul. Let me show you that in a second. And we'll see what I can do here. But I'm very confident that I can piece this together. It may not have the exact seam lines as this, but I bet I can come close and make something rather nice for myself. Now, when I say remnants, I really do mean remnants. I have a very hard time throwing out anything at all that is of any semblance of nice quality. I got incredibly lucky, and my mother-in-law was clearing out her basement, and she used to make doll lamps. And this is what she sent me out of her basement. Take a look at this. This is an insane amount of lace. So I think that with the brown silk that I have, I think this is what I'm going to use. I think also that I need to order some more silk or rayon or something that would go well for a slip, because look at this. This is just, I have the ability to make some very pretty items that are very decorated. I should do that. But first, brown slip, brown lace. Hello everyone, I've got my slip done. Trying to sew something out of remnants is incredibly difficult because when you do that, you are not capable of necessarily following grain lines or your fold lines incredibly well. The trick to it that I have found is being consistent from the left side to the right side. If your grain line is moving this way, it needs to be moving equally on this way. If you're ups and down over on this side of the hip, it needs to be up and down here, which means there is a seam line here. It's not in the pattern, but we're going to cover it in lace and make it look like it was planned. This is also going to be the one place that the grain line flipped from up and down to side, but it matches here and here. There's also absolutely no stretch to this material in any way, shape, or form. So I'm capable of flipping this without having a very bizarre stretch or pull scenario. I'm also not doing it on the diagonal. This was a 90-degree flip so that there was no possibility of weird pull. Now, let's discuss 1920s slips and the 1920s in general. If I put this on, the top of this is actually very, very low. There's no shaping for the armhole. This means that everything that goes around, unless you want a whole bunch of material jammed up in your armpit, which I do not, everything is going to be low enough to go around and under without actually going and jamming up in the armpit. So the fit is very, very different. It is correct, however, for this time period. When you take a look at this, all of this goes down and then it starts flaring out right around here. This is mildly, I think this is mildly long, and depending on what it is that ends up being put over this, this may get trimmed. However, when I made this, the final point from here to here ended up being too short. So I added to the bottom because this was the strip of material that I actually had available, and I wasn't able to make this part any longer because of the material available. But when you have this nice of a raw silk in your stash, you figure out how to use it eventually. All right. I'm going to lay this down, do a close-up of this, and I'm going to move on to the next sewing project. Remember to hit the subscribe button, and I have a Patreon account for everyone who needs exclusive Mr. Watson footage.